Hey guys, Adrian here for DigitalDojos, and welcome to Digital Coffee. This is episode 4, #Ferguson. Alright guys, so it's been 2 weeks since I've shot an episode, and I gotta apologize last week. I was really busy and kind of fell behind on some things, and I'm trying to stay committed to that weekly schedule. So I'm going to try and make up for it this week, obviously. I have a couple of extra stories here to talk about, and one of those being a bigger topic, which I'm going to kind of save towards the end, dealing with social media and all that jazz. But yeah, I've had quite a busy week, some changes over at DigitalDojos.com, and just works with some new content I'm going to be rolling out to the channel, etc. So nonetheless, it's been quite a busy week in technology, a lot of kind of crazy stuff going on, and I'm kind of curating some news from last week as well as everything that's been ongoing this week. And the first one I want to talk about is the big leak news. It seems like every week leading up to the iPhone 6 announcement, there's been rumors and new pictures and videos leaked. And this week, nonetheless, it was that of the new Apple, what's claiming to be the new Apple Lightning USB cable. So with the Lightning cable, it's much more smaller than the traditional 30-pin cable that was previous in the iPod generations and iDevice generations in general. Another feature that came out with it, which was more of a convenient feature, was that of the Lightning cable is interchangeable or in the sense that it can be reversible. It can be plugged in either way on the actual iOS device, be it an iPod or iPhone. Now leaks are saying that parts from China and other big sources who are such as Sunny Dixon, who are pretty reliable when it comes to these leaks, are saying that the new cable is going to be reversible on both ends now. So the USB end as well will be reversible. You can plug in the USB connection whether it's facing up or down. So the basics of this, it's nothing, revolutionary more than it's convenient. You can plug in a cable when you either way. You don't have to kind of go around twisting it and turning it and all that good stuff. You can just plug it in either way. So there's a video that's released right now. It's one of those, typical leak videos as you see. They're like 11 seconds long and really quickly shot. I guess at the fear of being caught or whatever it may be. But the video and the claims made are that the new Lightning cable will be reversible on both ends, so making it a little bit more convenient for users out there. And, this can be, it's nice. It's a nice little addition. It's one of those nice things that you appreciate. I like the thing on the Lightning cable. You can plug it in either way. And specifically for things like the USB end, now you don't have to worry about when you're plugging in something behind your iMac or a computer. It's just one of those nice little hardware tweaks that's going to be set for the new iPhone. There's a lot of other stuff that was kind of talked about this week about the iPhone, whether or not the sapphire glass display that so many are talking about is going to be for this iPhone or the next iPhone. There's talks about the shortage in parts for the iPhone 5.5 inch display that people are saying is going to be released, the two models, and they're saying that they're going to be calling the larger one the iPhone 6L. I'm guessing the L stands for larger. I'm not too sure there, but again, all of these things are floating around, and as usual, as we get closer and closer to the expected event on September 9th, then everything will be confirmed. At Apple's event, we'll know what's going to be in the new iPhone 6 and kind of what to expect and put off for later on, because there's a lot of parts leaking right now. There's all sorts of things coming out, some of them which seem viable, some of them which some people are reporting, like wireless charging stuff that I don't see coming to the iPhone 6. I can see NFC and things of that nature. I don't know about wireless charging, so we'll have to wait to see upcoming this September. All right, moving on. Next story of the day. This also comes from cnetnews.com. Snapchat, the famous social media, the social network, in the sense that it's known for its ephemeral messages, in the sense that you send a message, they dissolve. There's been a lot of talks lately about the revenue platform and how Snapchat plans on making money. It was, I don't know how long ago, it was a couple months ago, where they turned down the acquisition from Facebook. Facebook was supposedly trying to buy out Snapchat for what was reported a $3 billion with a B dollar acquisition that Snapchat turned down, which essentially they're saying that, I guess in their sense, they think, scaling up years from now, they'll be worth more than $3 billion. Lately, they've released a couple new features. There's things about a service called Snapchat Discovery. Obviously, in the recent months, they've released Snapchat Stories and things of that nature. But the big question is, how do they plan to monetize it? How are they making money from an app that's free and has millions and millions of users? So a lot of the talk right now, how Snapchat has been in discussions with multiple advertising agencies, etc., to bring advertising to Snapchat. And the only way I can kind of see that being done is through I'm guessing that means promoted Snapchats. The same thing you see on promoted tweets and Pinterest, promoted pins. I'm guessing you're going to be getting the same way Snapchat sends you those messages to announce app updates. I'm guessing you're soon going to start seeing promoted ones from Snapchat on companies, new products, services, whatever it may be. And obviously, the reason that this would be interesting from a advertiser's perspective, in the sense that majority of Snapchat's audience is 13 to 17, so you're hitting that like teenage range, which is a pretty big demographic. And so even going as far as 18 to 34, which is another big demographic for social media. So Facebook already owning one of the bigger social medias. They bought Instagram. They tried to buy They tried to buy Snapchat, I should say. It's going to be interesting to see what Snapchat decides to do to kind of monetize their business, because as of right now, Facebook tried to release Slingshot, and in order to compete with Snapchat, and I haven't really heard much from that at all. Again, it's going to be something that a lot of people are used to Snapchat how it is. Whatever change they make, it has to be something that's not going to be so in your face that it's going to infringe on the users in a sense. It's popular for its sustainability in terms of it works and people are on it and people are using it. It's different, and that's what people are on right now. But as with all things, with all trends, eventually there will be a falling out. Until then, they have to find a way to monetize that, and I guess advertising is the way they're going to be doing that. So as of right now, you have nothing to fear, but in the future, you'll probably be seeing some sort of advertisement revenue stream implemented into Snapchat, however they choose to tie that in. Maybe it could be with Snapchat Stories. That's a big thing right now. You're seeing creative companies out there. If you add them on Snapchat, they have real unique stories, so that's definitely something to check out. But again, if you're a fan of Snapchat, this may be something to follow. All right, moving on to news that was just recently broke. Literally this week, Steve Ballmer, former CEO of Microsoft, just today actually announced his resigning from the Microsoft executive board immediately. The decision, which was made 6 months after the new CEO was appointed, Satya Nadella, who succeeded Ballmer, obviously. He's now decided he's going to be leaving the board of Microsoft. Essentially, he stuck around for advice and to help run the company and all of that. Recently, though, he's been up to his own kind of outside business. He recently purchased the Los Angeles Clippers, the basketball team, for $2 billion. So he's now the owner of that basketball team. And I'm guessing now with the stepping down from the Microsoft board, he'll be putting his focus and time in the basketball team itself. But he passed on a letter directly to Satya Nadella, which you can read. I'll link off to the story. You can read the full letter, but I just want to read the opening quote here as he says, "As I approach the 6-month mark of my retirement and your appointment as CEO, I have been reflecting on my life, my ongoing ownership of Microsoft stock, and my involvement with the company. I have reached some conclusions and wanted to share them with you. I know August is a key month which during the company starts to prepare the proxy statement for the next shareholders meeting, and so these thoughts are probably timely for that too." And he goes on to talk about how Microsoft has been his life's work. Obviously, he's been the co-founder since Paul Allen and Bill Gates founded Microsoft way back when, and he's been there ever since, taking on the CEO role after Bill Gates, and then now stepping down for Satya Nadella just 6 months ago. 34 years he worked at Microsoft, and despite his very charismatic enigma and his kind of unique and odd image that he kind of gave off at Microsoft, he definitely did devote his life's work, and he'll be now stepping down from the board. I think actually Gates still sits on the board to help out with advice and all of that, but now I guess Ballmer will be dividing his time elsewhere. So a little bit of farewell news in that sense. However, he still owns, I think I saw another article tied with this, he still owns like 300 million plus stock. So he's not throwing in all his stock. He definitely still has a huge share and stake within Microsoft, but he will be stepping down immediately from the board itself. All right, now all of that said, let's go into some other news here with Elon Musk. Elon Musk, he is literally like the modern day Iron Man. He was literally the character for the modern day Iron Man movies that Tony Stark was based off of. He's currently the CEO of Tesla, and the CTO as well, I think, of SpaceX. He founded PayPal, which was formerly X.com, and he founded PayPal back then. He also sold his company Zip2. He started SpaceX and co-founded Tesla. He's done so many different projects in his life, and is worth upwards, I think, of 10 plus billion or more. Sorry, actually, I mean, what is Elon Musk's net worth? Let's see. I'm pretty sure it's okay. Now, yeah, it's upwards of 11 billion nowadays. But SpaceX, his company that Space Exploration Technology is what it stands for, is a commercial space transportation startup founded by Musk with ambitions essentially to land people on Mars. Literally, he's been on record saying that his whole kind of motivation behind starting the company that is SpaceX was that he didn't want to die on Earth. He wanted to die on Mars. And it's raised an investment that values the company somewhere in the $10 billion range. Recently receiving some investment rounds, valuing, again, with the total, usually when you see companies or any startups receive an investment round, so usually there's a series of rounds that they receive investments for, whether it's a couple $100 million or whatever it may be. Typically when the stakes involved is when they invest, they'll get a percentage of the company. But once companies do that, what you find out is their overall evaluation. You find out what people and what specific companies are willing to, whether they're willing to buy a company or invest, what they value the overall company at. And SpaceX, as of current, is valued at a crazy $10 billion. And it is in itself a really advanced company. It makes advanced spacecraft, and it's literally looking to build future commercial and government products to take people to Mars. So it's one of those very, very forward-thinking companies, and I think if you look at Musk's track record, it's nothing to be shocked about. He's a very forward-thinking and innovative thinker. I mean, Tesla right now is one of the top electric vehicles out there. It's won numerous accolades. It's producing new cars, and they're doing great stuff in terms of the battery technology that they're integrating in the Tesla. He's definitely one of those thinkers that's 10 steps ahead, and SpaceX, nonetheless, is something that is a crazy, crazy idea to literally take people to Mars and find a way to develop and sustain life on Mars. Maybe it'll happen in Musk's lifetime, who knows, but nonetheless, he's certainly laying down the foundation, and his company, SpaceX, is definitely taking off with the recent fundings and being valued at a crazy $10 billion, that's a huge difference, is a great start at that. All right, that said, let's go into some YouTube news now. YouTube news this is coming from The Guardian now. This is something that kind of hits home because I've obviously been on YouTube for 8+ years now, and YouTube is going to be releasing, this has been talked about for a long time, a music service that's going to tie in with, obviously, Google. It's going to be an ad-free music service, and it's going to be known as YouTube Music Key. It's going to be a subscription service which will offer concert footage, remixes, and covers and official discographies of artists. So far, that's what the reports are saying. It's going to have over 20 million plus songs and videos curated specifically for YouTube. And basically, the way it's going to work is it will be a 30-day free trial to try it out and a $10 monthly subscription to give you access to high-quality tracks, complete albums, discographies, and covers, remixes, concerts, etc. So you're going to be able to see all of this stuff. Now, YouTube has been branching out into popular media for the last couple months now. They introduced the live streaming feature. They've been live streaming some big events on YouTube, big concerts now, and they've also done small things that people don't realize, but they've done things like paid channels. Partners now have the opportunity to create paid channels. So if you enjoy somebody's content and you're willing to pay for it, you can do a monthly subscription. Now, this has been a huge thing in the music industry because on YouTube alone, there's been so many artists who have risen up to kind of stardom status, and whether or not they sign with a label or they decide to remain independent, have been able to self-fund and crowdfund through sites like Patreon, for example, which allow you to reach out to your audience, and essentially they can commit to paying $5, $10, $15 per video that you release within a month's time. So Music Key is obviously going to be trying to take advantage of the obviously growing interest in music on YouTube. I'm pretty sure, I don't know the percentages, but I'm almost definite that YouTube is a big portion of it is, aside from the entertainment content, is music content, and what people are consuming would be music. So nonetheless, they're going to be making a service to compete with things like, it's going to be competing in an obviously crowded space, Spotify, Pandora, all these other radio services. But obviously the big thing here is that YouTube already has a lot of deals in place and already has a lot of people. I mean, it's the place that people will put their music videos to begin with. So if they're going to have the upper hand in that sense, and they are the leading video provider and the internet right now, obviously backed by Google. So it's gonna be interesting to see this. It's gonna be a $10 subscription. We'll definitely cover it when it comes out, and you can try out the 30-day free trial if that's something you want to tie into. And I'm guessing this will tie into all the other Google services as well. So as usual, the Google Play Music, all that stuff they have there. I'm sure they'll kind of consolidate this all into one thing, and also allow for like streaming of content, audio only. Offline listening is what people are saying right now. It's going to be coming up for YouTube Music Key. So just another music service with another big company essentially behind it, and you can look forward to that coming out fairly soon. All right, the last story of the day. Let me get a sip of coffee. I'm going with iced coffee today, cold. It's sorry, you can hear me sucking through the straw. But the last story has obviously been all over the news, and I kind of want to hit at this from a different angle. The Ferguson riots and news that's been kind of going on for the last 2 weeks in the case against, obviously, protests for Michael Brown, the teenager who was shot and has kind of caused this upscale, not just obviously in the area where the protests are going on, but nowadays what happens is the wave of social media and how that kind of plays into the world we live in. Everything kind of goes global in the sense that this isn't limited to just the protesters there physically, but now the people all across the world who are retweeting and posting articles and sharing stories and uploading pictures, etc., 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 of what's going on in Ferguson, Missouri. Jack Dorsey, one of the founders of Twitter, actually is physically there and has been live tweeting the protests that are ongoing. And again, this just showcases the age we live in. We get news through different material and platforms and mediums. And one of those happens to be Twitter now. Twitter is a big force. The hashtag Ferguson has been all over. Now, you can make your arguments. There is arguments in the sense that tweeting about these things and topics and posting things online and hashtagging it won't actually, it's awareness. That's what these things do. They cause awareness. They spread out to the multiple, millions and millions of people, and you sharing your opinion can, domino effect to being reached out to a whole series of people. Some people will make the arguments that hashtags don't save lives in the sense that, you got to take action. And I'm a firm believer in that. There's another thing going on right now, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, that's kind of been taking over social media as well. That's another showcase example of how we, use social media nowadays. It started out as a Ice Bucket Challenge that was adopted by the ALS organization, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, that basically you pour a bucket of ice water on yourself and you film it, and then you challenge 3 other people to do the same, and that kind of launches this domino effect that allows you to keep on, people to keep on challenging people. But the idea behind it is that you would donate to that of the ALS Foundation, and then now you're seeing people who are doing it just to do the challenge. Some of them are doing it, with no idea about the ALS kind of awareness that's going on behind it. And some people will argue that it is raising a lot of awareness for ALS, while other people will say, like, what is this, stupid challenge that really isn't doing anything. However, on the flip side, the ALS organization, since the Ice Bucket Challenge has been released, has raised, I think, over $13+ million so far, which is a significant amount, and the awareness in itself obviously was a cause of that. So, with the Ferguson things going on, my Twitter feed has been obviously littered with this sort of thing. You have everybody, right wing, left wing, kind of contributing their opinions to what went down, and I'm not here to kind of discuss the intricacies and details of what's going on, in my opinion, regarding the whole case in itself. Rather to talk about the social media aspect. We live in a world nowadays, like I said, where things are global. When something happens, if somebody has a video camera or a Vine or an Instagram or whatever and posts it out to the internet, it scales. It reaches millions and millions and billions of people potentially, and it is something that has changed the way we cover news. It's changed the way we receive content, whether you see breaking stories on Twitter or you see them on Instagram or whatever you see them on. It's changed the way we, again, receive and consume news, because while I really liked a video that was released by one of the video journalists that I follow, and a video creator in general. His name is Casey Neistat. He released a video on, I believe it was recordings from August 14th, if I'm not mistaken, the first day of the peaceful riots that kind of went down in Ferguson, and he gave a different perspective in the sense that here are people in Ferguson, Missouri, that are protesting the what they see as the unjust shooting of a teenage boy. And they had a peaceful riots going on in his video. It's something that it's a different angle from what you're seeing on the news, on CNN, on Fox, on et cetera, et cetera. It's the news likes to go out there and put out a lot of, here's the bad stuff happening in the world. But I think one thing to remember is that that's a fraction of what goes on in the world. Statistically, more good happens than bad in this world. And I'm not saying that should be the cause for us to not focus on the bad that happens in the world. It's definitely something we need to do and raise awareness for. But to remember and a reminder that the actions of few don't justify that of the many. So I think with Ferguson, like I said, you see all this stuff going on, but there's also a different perspective behind that these few who are violent, who are robbing stores, who are doing all these, are only few and don't constitute for that of the mass popularity who are just protesting something and trying to get a point across and trying to receive justice for something that happened in their city, essentially. So, social media, it's changing the landscape. It's this isn't the first of stories like this. This isn't, the last either. There's going to be many like it. There's going to be many figures and people going out and reporting like stories like this on Twitter. It comes down to now where you want to receive your news and how you want to receive it. Nowadays, you can choose to follow the reporters that you want to follow. You can choose to follow the organizations you want to follow. You don't need to be glued to a television. You don't need the newspapers to tell you what's going on in the world. It can be a teenager sitting there tweeting. It could be somebody taking a picture of something when it went down. It could be anything nowadays, and that's the kind of the landscape of the news with social media nowadays. All right, so that kind of wraps it up. I apologize again for missing last week, but I hope to kind of get caught up on everything and release some new stuff for you guys. So as always, don't forget to check out DigitalDojos.com. Subscribe here if you're watching this on YouTube. I'm still trying to fix the whole iTunes situation, so you can subscribe if you're iTunes subscribers. But if not, of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel to get updates every week on when the newest episode comes out. I'm Adrian Kogiron here for Digital Coffee. Thanks for watching. Or I should say, technically, thanks for listening.